If you can hear me. I'm really glad you said something. Hmm.
Hey,
Hey, I'm
sorry,
really glad you said something because I was in a different room. I was testing out the cameras and the lighting and stuff and forgot that I wasn't in the main
right
room. I was
room.
just sitting, waiting.
Oh, I'm glad you saw it. I'm like, oh, she is in there. So I deleted my messages. Oh, good. No, yeah, usually you're on early, so I thought
A
I'd
little
come
bit, sometimes.
sit.
Sometimes I wait till the last minute.
How's Steve doing?
Hi. Oh, he's like I'm pulling out my hair today. He's okay.
Um,
He's fine, actually, but
Praise God.
he's he's not improving. He's got a good attitude, though.
That's huge.
It's huge, but he's not
Oh my
improving.
gosh, yeah, because we
Yeah.
just got notified that they want my dad out by the 26th. And we're like, okay, we reject that. And they're like, well, we reject your rejection. It's like,
Oh gosh, because he's just too hard to handle.
hard, yeah. And someone told me that oftentimes the opposite of their personality, like, because my dad was gentle, loved the Lord, loved people, served, like, it's the total opposite.
Wow, makes
Yeah,
no sense.
makes no sense.
Truly a demonic disease.
Truly. Yeah.
Hello, my friends, Sandy and Karen.
Hi, ladies. Oh, there's the fun fireworks in the background. That's super.
Oh yeah, there it is.
And then
Gosh, was it that small?
here's one of Claudia's over here. It's in
Aw.
their room.
How,
What is that?
This is a watercolor right here that I did. And these are
oh,
things
that's
my daughter
beautiful.
did. My daughter did this. This is her room actually.
Oh,
To be
I
her room.
love the green and blue hearts. How is your daughter?
Yeah.
Nicole is getting her infusions once every, I think, 8 weeks now. So the doctor neurologist is trying to stretch them out to where it's
Okay.
8 weeks, but by week 7, she
What
starts.
are they? What are the infusions?
I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly. Some type of gamma globulin type thing. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
she gets the muscle weakness starting week 7 again, like numbness in her feet. Like she was surfing and she goes, Mom, I couldn't really feel my feet when I was surfing the other day. Oh, you kind of need that when you're surfing.
For sure.
I think. I would think.
Wow.
But I forget she's got that Guillain-Barré syndrome because when I see her, she's, seems normal. She's not
Yeah.
close to when she needs her infusion. So, but
Yeah. My niece has been diagnosed also.
oh, with that Guillain-Barré. Oh,
Is that sort of a trigger by the vaccine or anything?
they don't know exactly. It's a rare
Because
disease.
I've heard that. I've heard it a few times that it
Yes,
might
I
be.
mean, like that's my two brothers were
Hello,
vaxxed. No one
Janice.
else in our family was, so I told
Mm.
hey guys. And so she's my brother's.
Oh, uh-huh.
Hmm.
Wow.
Interesting. Well, hello, Karen. You're in where? Orlando, did you say? Georgia. Georgia, I think. You're muted. I'm going to send you the ask to unmute button. Nope, I just
I'm on my
forwarded. Okay, there you
iPhone,
are.
so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in Atlanta, and my son-in-law has to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work. So I need to be quiet as I can.
Okay. All right. Well, get yourself comfortable and position that iPhone. Do you have earbuds?
Yes.
Okay. Position your iPhone so you don't have to hold it because I'm getting seasick.
Sorry. There you
Do we
go.
still have communion elements, by the way? I forgot. You'd said something. Do we need communion
Oh,
elements?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be right
okay.
back.
Oh, I gave mine to Steve. Let me go get it. Yeah.
I need something for, I'm done talking.
You
Are you
can
upset
you
with
can
me?
fake, you can do a pretend communion with water.
You
You
want?
can do it with the air. You can just do
I
it
need something for
spiritually. You don't
communion.
need to actually have a
water
thing.
and a cookie, just anything. Water and bread, tea,
Water and a
Coke. I'll get a
cookie.
Coke.
The world.
No Coke. Don't give her a Coke. Don't give her a Coke.
She's saying don't give her a Coke.
Don't give her a
Friend.
Coke. Let's see where we should be having. I haven't heard others are not
I just need
coming.
a little, I'll just take a peanut butter, M&M.
Did she say she might not be here? Can't remember. Okay, she might be on the road. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. As soon as Karen and Hillary come back, and Janice, here you go with your double attendance. Yes, you get an A for attendance right off the bat. How's life for you, Janice?
It's good. It's good. Just kind of busy over here,
Yeah,
but
I know.
making it through.
Well, the good news is everybody's going to get, you don't have to do anything other than play with paint for the next 2 weeks, or, whatever, the following 2 Tuesdays, which is probably like elapsed time about 3 weeks, right? Is that how that works? 1, 2, yeah. So 3 weeks of no stress, but I hope that you will all play with paint. Well, did Hillary have to go to the market?
She's stomping on the grapes to make the.
Yeah,
the
she's
tea.
making wine, baking bread.
Yeah. Getting the unleavened bread out of the oven.
Uh-huh.
Did you do that one behind you this morning?
I did. Yeah, we did that this morning. It's actually a continuation of the one I did in the demonstration over the weekend.
yeah.
And then we're going to continue on it tonight and show you how that works, and layering and layering and layering.
Almost looks like a butterfly in the corner
Kind of almost does, doesn't it?
with the blue wings and
Uh-huh.
purple
Oh, it
body.
does. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, there's something emerging I hadn't seen, but you're right. Hillary, honestly,
yeah.
I'm telling you, you guys. Let's see, who else are we missing at the nighttime? It seems like we're missing.
Are we missing anybody? Do you have more
well,
than 4?
Tracy's not here. She was here with us last
I
time.
just getting my son's dinner ready. I'll be right back.
Well, can we start without you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me see if my husband can do it.
Priorities, right? Your son or communion? Come on.
Right.
Yes, there's actually eight of you in the nighttime group. One is Jackie in Australia. Hi, Jackie. We may never see her live because she works, but she's in this group. And then I have another friend, local friend, Julia Warner, who she knew she probably wouldn't be able to make these first 2, but she might be able to make them later. So Julia, we want to have you with us. And then Tracy, who is with us last week, she mentioned she was going out of town for 2 days, but I didn't know exactly when that was. So apparently it's now. So Julie or Tracy, hopefully you'll be back in January when we meet again. And I think that might be all. So what we're going to do,
we had 2 new ones.
2 new ones, yes. So Janice is new. Tracy was new. Who else, Karen?
Oh, okay, you're right.
I think that's it. And who also knew were Julia and Jackie, but you haven't met them. So we'll see. And okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our encounter today. We are what we want to do is practice his presence and really make that such a habit and such an easy thing to slip into, that no matter what whirlwind's going around you, you can turn your affection to Jesus and connect. And the more you practice that, the easier that gets. It's not hard, but sometimes we make it hard. And sometimes distractions make it hard, or you've got drama going on in your life, and so you're finding it harder to connect. But those are, of course, the times when we need to connect the best, or the most. So we want to practice that. And today I'm going to read over you some scripture from 2 Corinthians in the Passion Translation. You can write a note, and yeah, I'll do that. Oh yeah, are we recording? Yes, we are recording. I had to make somebody co-host this morning because I had a lower intestinal flare-up of some bizarre thing, but then it seems fine, so I figure. Okay, there she is. Let's see whose iPhone 6 is coming in. Maybe that's Tracy. Okay, iPhone 6.
Hi. Did I unmute yet?
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Sorry. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna change you to Tracy. I'm gonna rename you.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot my phone doesn't have my name on it.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Janice is really here. She's in the square to the right, my Hollywood square. She's on the right-hand side. And okay, and we're going to do an activation out of 2 Corinthians 3, and I'm going to just read out of the Passion Translation. And it would be wonderful if you all could just close your eyes and just listen, receive. It's not an intellectual thing. You don't have to turn it into a study. We just want you to experience what's going on here. And then allow yourself, your imagination to engage too. So there are things you can picture. You can allow yourself to engage in that. And we'll just linger on this, and then we'll eventually get to communion right from here. Okay. So I bless you all. Thank you for coming tonight. I like our little small group. This morning's group was kind of small too. A couple of people couldn't make it, but it was really fun. So Lord, make this fun too. And we're all, sleepier and mellower and quieter than we were this morning, probably. But you have your way, and you just lead us and guide us. And here we go. Okay, so this is 2 Corinthians 3, verses 7 and on in the Passion Translation. So just receive. Don't engage your left brain. Just let your right brain get loved. Even the ministry that was characterized by chiseled letters on stone tablets came with a dazzling measure of glory, though it produced death. The Israelites couldn't bear to gaze on the glowing face of Moses' face because of the radiant splendor shining from his countenance, a glory destined to fade. Yet how much more radiant is this new and glorious ministry of the Spirit that shines from us? this glorious ministry of the Spirit that shines from us. For if the former ministry of condemnation was ushered in with a measure of glory, how much more does the ministry that imparts righteousness far excel in glory? What once was glorious no longer holds any glory because of the increasingly greater glory that has replaced it. The fading ministry came with a portion of glory, but now we embrace the unfading ministry of a permanent impartation of glory. A permanent impartation of glory. So then, with this amazing hope living in us, we step out in freedom and boldness to speak the truth. We are not like Moses, who used a veil to hide the glory to keep the Israelites from staring at him as it faded away. Their minds were closed and hardened, for even to this day that same veil covers over their minds when they hear the words of the former covenant. The veil has not yet been lifted from them, for it is only eliminated when one is joined to the Messiah. So until now, whenever the Old Testament is being read, the same blinding comes over their hearts. But the moment one turns to the Lord with an open heart, the veil is lifted and they see. Now, the Lord I'm referring to is the Holy Spirit, and wherever the Lord is, there is freedom. We can all draw close to him with the veil removed from our faces. And with no veil, we all become like mirrors who brightly reflect the glory of the Lord Jesus. We are being transfigured into his very image as we move from one brighter level of glory to another. And this glorious transfiguration comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. I'm going to just read another little bit over again. But the moment one turns to the Lord with an open heart, the veil is lifted and they see. Now, the Lord I'm referring to is the Holy Spirit. Wherever the Lord is, there is freedom. And you see, we can all draw close to him with the veil removed from our faces, and with no veil, we all become like mirrors who brightly reflect the glory of the Lord Jesus. We are being transfigured into his very image, as we move from one brighter level of glory to another. And this glorious transfiguration comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. So, Lord, we turn our heart towards you. We turn our eyes towards you. The veil's lifted. There's nothing to keep your glory for shining brightly onto us. And actually, that same glory and then returning back to you. The glory you shine on us reflects. We're like a mirror, Lord. We're like a mirror reflecting your glory. And we do it in a million ways. One is through painting. One is through just loving and talking. And one is through patience and kindness. Many, many ways to reflect your glory, Lord. But today, we want to just make sure that our face is not veiled. So if there's anything over us, if there's anything distracting us, if there's anything that's been in the way of that veil from being fully lifted off, will you just show it or tell us? If there's anything in the way, if any of us are having any trouble connecting right now with the Lord, let's just ask him what's going on. Show me, Lord. And what do you want me to do about it? And with unveiled face, look around. Where are you? Are you sitting in your chair in your office or home? Are you in heaven? Are you in the stars? The Lord has invited you to the banquet feast, the communion with him, the taste of his flesh and of his blood that makes us one with him, feasting with him, united with him, engaging with him, one with him. His very DNA becomes ours. Our DNA becomes, not that ours becomes his, but it's clearly entangled with him. You know, that DNA strand, the way the ladder, the way it twists, it's like we're just twisting up to heaven and uniting with him in glorious DNA, entangled with the King of Kings, the beautiful King of Kings, who has invited you to the banquet feast to partake, not in remembrance of the Last Supper, although there's nothing wrong with that, but there's so much more than that. Now we get to eat his flesh and drink his blood and become one with him. We are one with him from the moment of our born again new birth. But daily, it's a choice to eat and drink him, to feast on him, to let his very being be our food, our nourishment, and our total provision. So you've been invited to sit at the table. And he's offered you this beautiful body of his to partake in. And so as we do, let's just realize how much we are getting the privilege to feast on the King of Kings and his provision for us. And you can take your little cracker or bread. Even rather than calling them elements, we all do, because that's what they've taught us. These are communion elements. But really it's not. It's food. It's bread and blood. It's union. It's promise. It's covenant. So Jesus, Yahweh, Yahshua, Ruach, HaKodesh, God, holy, holy, holy. Who are we that you would give us this great intimate connection with you? But by your blood, by your incredible gift. And so, Lord, we partake of your blood right now. We engage, we become one, we celebrate, we say yes to every promise, every promise. All those promises are for us. We say yes to every single one, and we thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Seems kind of a simple, small word, isn't it? Thank you, or two words. Not enough to celebrate his greatness. So you go ahead and drink your juice if you didn't already. And then while you're there in that place, consider where you are with him. What are you doing with him? Would you like to go back there with him? Can you do that anytime you want? I know the answer to that. Yes, yes, yes. Anytime you want, you just go right back there. But now, ladies, let's practice living from there. We're going to practice painting from there. We're going to shift to logical, practical, creative explanations and practice, but do it from that same place of heaven with Jesus. Amen. Amen. And if anybody wants to share anything they saw you are welcome to. Come on, mouse. There you go. You don't have to, though. You just speak up if anybody wants to. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over staying right in heaven. So imagine yourself in heaven, and we're going to start playing with paint. And we're going to do a little bit more work with kind of the things you did earlier last week and this week. And use Facebook page to upload any work you do during the week, playwork. Doesn't, even if it's not the homework, if you've done something creative and you want to share it, that's a great place to do it. If you do the homework, the playwork, I got to call it the right name, you go ahead and upload it into a Facebook so we can all share, because I think it encourages everybody else to see where we're at and where we're growing and what we're doing. So don't be afraid to do that. So today we're going to do some playing with paint. We're going to, I'll actually demonstrate some painting, and then we'll do a little real quick introduction into drawing and using the proportional divider. If anybody's picked up their proportional divider, that's what this looks like, or something like it. Maybe you had one. That's a handy tool. And today we're going to use paint. So if you have access and you're in a place where you can paint, you feel like joining us, you can do it with us live. Otherwise, you can go back and do it on your own. I know Karen's visiting her daughter, I think, and she's not feeling good, and it's not a good place. So she's probably just going to watch. Is there anybody else who's going to actually participate with us as we play and paint? Okay, good. One. Good. Two. Okay. Tracy, so we're going to be using acrylic. You can use oil if you want. It's harder with oil because it doesn't dry so quickly. Do you know about Gulkid medium?
Gulf. No, I don't.
So for oil, that is a medium that adds viscosity, transparency, and shine, gloss, as well as it really shortens the drying time. So, it can almost dry overnight. If you use enough of it, it could dry in a couple hours. And if you're in a dry climate, where are you? You're in California, Southern Cal.
Yes.
You're probably not too dry. Where in Southern Cal are you?
LA. I'm in LA. Yeah.
So,
yeah, literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's probably fairly humid, relatively speaking. Not like Florida.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, not
so
like
in
Florida
other
for
words,
sure,
the
but-
drier the climate, the quicker your oil paints will dry.
Sure.
So
So this would enable me to stick with oil, but make it faster drying. That's why you're mentioning it, I'm assuming.
That's why I'm mentioning it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
It makes it thinner too, though, probably, right?
Makes it thinner.
But for our purposes,
it makes it like a gloss, a little more transparent. You can mix it with opaques and with lots of paint. You can still use plenty of paint, but it'll help it dry quicker.
Okay.
But if it's a big thick layer of paint, it's not going to dry that quick. Anyway, no matter what you do to it.
Right. Okay.
So that's why we like to use acrylic for the class, so that we can make some time, so to speak. Okay, so I'm going to shift over to the other camera. Let me get things set up. I'm so high tech here. I amaze myself. Even without my trusty sidekick at my side.
May I ask a question
Yeah,
while
you
you're
can use
setting
that.
up? I don't want to slow
Yeah.
down the class, but okay. So I apologize for being late, and I had to use the restroom. So, but I didn't, until you said, "Where are you?" did I realize where I was, and it was just quick at the end. So I don't know. I've certainly done this before, but I haven't done it a lot. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know what I missed because I remember you said we're going to read this thing from the Passion Translation, and then you started to read, and I guess I'm used to being guided into it or something. So can you tell me what I should have known to do at the beginning, maybe to get me there?
Nothing. You came in right at the right time. It was
Yeah.
just connect.
It was just a time of connection. I was reading out of 2 Corinthians 3, verses 7 through the end, 18, I think that is. And I'm reading that for you and inviting you to engage with that scripture and then leading you into communion. So that was our encounter for today. It'll be something different every time, anytime. We do, Tracy, you might want to consider joining my free group where I take people through my book, Joy in Living Color. So you have to buy the book, but the group is free. We meet weekly. And it's a beautiful journey in sort of inner healing and discovery and a little creativity. And there's journaling and drawing and Google, not Googling. Hello, like sort of doodling. That's the word. Thank you. Jeez. And and playing, and it's really great. Karen, you can tell her something about that while I set up over here. Hi, can you see me over here? All right.
We can see the paper, yeah.
Can you see me here, everybody?
We can see the paper and your hands.
Okay, that's all you're going to get. Yes, you won't see me. Sorry. See
That's
the
okay.
paper. Okay. So, and by the way, I'm not going to be here to unmute you or ask you to unmute because you are now across the room from me. So you might just all unmute so you can jump in and ask questions. I am going to mix colors here. Cool. Let's everybody pull out what you think are your cool colors. They can be opaque or not. And we're going to play and see what happens as we layer with acrylics on top of acrylics. So right now I'm putting primary yellow, which is a cool yellow. I'm going to put, I don't really have an orange. I do have an orange. I could go get an orange over here. Cad orange is cool, but it's opaque.
Which yellow?
So you have to keep that in mind. Well, I used primary yellow. You can see that. I've lost my glasses, so on top of everything, I'm losing everything lately. This happens to be transparent, but there are other cool yellows. Oh, great. I just put, don't touch your sweater with paint. Give me a second while I go clear my paint. Oh no, they're gone, honey. They've been missing for several days now. We've looked everywhere. No, I'm good. My husband's coming to my rescue, but I'm trying to get the paint out of my sweater before. With acrylic paint, you can get it out with water if you get to it right before it dries. Don't let it dry thinking that you'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Because later will not let you. I think I got it. I normally don't wear nice clothes when I paint. So the more we paint, the less nice you're going to see me. Okay. All right. Yellow, orange, red. So for red, I could use, well, let's do alizarin. It's really kind of a violet red, but we'll call it a red for now. And then blue, red, green. Oh, green. I'm not going to do green, but I do have phthalo blue green shade, so you can call that green. I could put green on here. I don't know how it would work. Here's a green.
Wow.
I probably need more than that if I'm going to use it. Yellow, orange, red, green, blue. Let's do this manganese blue. So I'm using a few different colors than I used earlier. I love manganese blue. It's pretty blue. And then violet or purple. I could use some purple. I have a diazonine purple is a cool purple. Okay, so we're going to get a little paint out. Whoa, that's a lot of purple. Okay, Sandy has asked me about my spray. So acrylics, unlike oil, dry out. Now maybe by the beach, Hillary doesn't have to worry about it. But so I have this water bottle that I have with water, but I also add this retarder in it a little bit.
Oh,
You don't have to. You don't have to at all, but it just helps. You can mix this retarder straight into a glob of paint to slow down the drying process. It's kind of the opposite of oil. So with oil, we add Galkid to speed it up, and with acrylic, we add retarder to slow it down. But I put a couple of little squirts in this amount of water, so it's not very much, just a little bit, and then I'll spray my paint to keep it moist. And I'll probably need some white as well. I'll get some white in here. My white started to get a little bit dry. You know, the problem with acrylic paint, when it dries, it's plastic, so it doesn't do a lot of good for you. And I need some paper towels. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to just play. But some of you did this already, and some of you didn't get to it. But take a brush. At this point, you could take any brush, nothing too small. You can see I'm using, this is a size 18 filbert. And just start, take some color. There's some yellow. And what happens if, we've tried this already, some of you have done this, what happens if when you mix it with some of these colors? Now, I don't want to do too much mixing with opaques yet, because the opaques will cover up my painting that you're going to see. I'll switch the camera around when I'm ready. But let's see, what happens if I take this primer yellow and this alizarin? What does that do? Well, as you can see, it kind of adds, kind of makes a, I don't know, like a brick color, you might say. And sometimes you can really get a good idea of what color it is when you add a little water, white to it, pastel it, tint it. You can see what color that is really.
can you pin yourself, Claudia?
Oh, I'm not? Yeah. You don't see me?
Yeah, I can see you, but you're just among our little boxes.
Oh, you don't want that. No, but you can spotlight me. You should have
Oh,
that
right.
option. But
I
yes,
forgot I could have done that.
but
I'm sorry.
yes, but that's okay. I should do it anyway. Thank you. Okay.
Just
So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off. Now, when you go between paints, by the way, you should probably get in the habit of not mixing, but removing paint from your brush and rinsing it so that you don't contaminate the other colors. So what do we want to do here?
So did you go from, you did yellow plus orange, and
I
then you
did yellow. No, I didn't do
Oh.
orange. I did yellow and alizarin crimson, alizarin
red,
crimson.
yellow,
Yes,
red.
alizarin crimson, and that made this sort of rust color. If I
Oh.
did yellow and orange, it's probably just going to be
More a lighter
yellow
orange.
orange. You know, yeah, a lighter. And see, orange. That orange is a cad orange, and it's opaque. And you see the difference even on the palette.
Right.
So if you mix an opaque with a transparent, you're going to make it opaque. And you can mix dark shades and light shades. What we're going to do here, we're just going to play. This is what I want to get you to do, because so many of you kind of got hung up on, doing things right.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
there isn't any such thing. And I'm going to move you. Don't get seasick, everybody, but I'm going to move this and see if I can bring it over here so we can paint together. And I think I need to raise it and lower that all at the same time, and maybe make it more direct. Hey. Okay. Y'all seasick yet? Not too bad, I hope. Okay. There we go. I'm probably going to stand right in front of that. So let's see. If I do that, is that going to be a problem for people? Probably. What if I went this way?
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do it that way. Okay. So I'm going to take that brush, clean it off, put some water in it, and I'm going to pick a color. And I haven't used these yet on this. So how many of you watched my play video over the weekend? Oh, you can see. So I created this just playing with acrylics. And then today in class, I demonstrated painting over that with, these are acrylic transparents again. So we're going to do more of that. And you're going to get the idea of how you can build and build and build on a painting to make it interesting.
So are we using now a canvas or our paper?
Who did the project of playing with paint on canvas that I demonstrated? Anybody? No. Okay. So I don't hear you. I can't see you, so you'll have to speak up. If you have a canvas or a canvas board, you could do it on paper too. If you have mixed media paper, you can do whatever you want. But we're going to play. So I want you to start playing. You can take any color you want. I'm going to switch colors here. Start with your lightest color first.
Okay. Yellow.
Okay, because with acrylics and transparents, you start light and go to dark, because the lights will kind of glow through. So so I had some yellow here, and then I added white over it, right? You can see. Now I'm just going to put some more yellow on top, and look what happens. So I had just transparent colors, had some yellow, then I went and put some white over it. Now I'm putting transparent yellow over the white, and it makes it pop.
It looks like it glows, kind of glows, does it?
It's kind of glowing.
Totally, but
Yeah,
looks
it
like
is kind of glowing.
that's cool.
Whoa. So it makes it pop. So where else might I want that? Sandy kind of thought she saw a little butterfly emerging out of this thing. What would happen if I put some yellow in here? Now you see it's also dripping. Drips are super cool if you want to drip. You may not want to drip. I've got drips happening everywhere, but I may not want a drip right there. So I'm just going to wipe it off. Then I have, this manganese blue is a nice bright. I didn't use that yet on this painting, and it's transparent. So, where can I put some manganese blue? And, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just playing. And so when you want to create a deliberate painting, you might have something more in mind. You might map it out. You might have an idea in mind. But right now, we're just playing. Because I want you to get in the habit of freedom, right? That was part of the reason I chose that scripture today. Because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. So that means you're not just free to choose Him, you're free to paint, you're free to express, you're free to emote, you are free to have some fun, however you want it to look. So just start moving some paint onto your paper or canvas, however you want it to look. You can do blotches, you can do, like, this is transparent paint. You could just paint the whole thing out, you know, can just cover it up like this. The other thing you can do, you go, wow, I liked it better before. So come along, use a rag and wipe it. If you want it all the way gone, if you haven't, if it's not all the way wet, you can get a lot of that off. You see, I didn't get all of it off though. Okay, so check in with me. Who's with me?
This is what I
Having
have so
fun.
far.
Let me come and see. Ah, okay.
I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I was gonna
Well,
add,
you know, isn't there a, haven't I said there's no right or wrong at this point? Okay, let me look at you. Let me look at you. Okay, cool. So now I want you to start layering colors on top of each other.
I was gonna do, I didn't like how that red stood out, so I was gonna put some white on there.
Okay, so now you're taking away its opacity when you do that, but that's okay. Because it can still, you can still put a transparent over that.
Okay.
You can put transparency over opaque. It gives it a different
I don't
feel.
know how to recognize all that yet. I was like asking my son, all right, help me understand this whole like cool. The way he's told me about the temperatures was if you have red's the warmest, then yellow, then blue's the coldest. So you're either going that way
Yeah,
or
it's not,
that
but
way.
it's not fully that way. So it's true of red, yellow, blue.
Yeah,
Yellow's the hottest, warmest, red, and then blue, the coolest. But within each color, there's warm and cool.
right. Yeah, I know that's the confusing part. I was
So
glad you sent
here,
us that chart.
well, and in that chart, so I'm going to go back. Oh, I'm looking at you, but you didn't see me. I'll remind you guys. So here's the chart. Probably got reflection on it because I've got my little sheet protector on it. But if it's a warm yellow, it's going to look more like it belongs to red than it does to green. This primary yellow that I had laid down, if you look at it, it's got a green hinge or a tinge to it. The hue is green. So as you go yellow to green, it's cool,
Right.
even though that's a warm green.
Right,
Very
right.
confusing.
Yeah, I was showing him
Okay.
that page. Yeah, that was pretty
Right.
cool. That was really hard.
But here's the thing is, this warm reddish blue, to me, looks more cool than the greenish blue here, but it's not. They flip. So if the blue is towards red, it's warm. If the blue is towards green, it's cool. Even though you might think green is warm, but it's not. So if you just memorize yellow to red, red to blue is warm, and yellow to green, green to blue is cool. That's the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
Okay, any
All right.
questions? If people have questions, just ask away.
And then the
Anybody else wanna-
transparency, you can't tell unless it says it or you find out by using it.
Correct. Yeah, that's
Okay.
why I'm asking you
To
to
play.
play, because this is how you'll discover. And then also when you're playing, don't be afraid to turn things around and go, well, that's interesting. What's happening this way? So what would happen if I now added some opaque orange somewhere? Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
It's not thrilling me.
Look what opaque orange over that pink does. So even though it's opaque, it's put on really thin.
So for some
So
reason,
I'm kind of
Hillary is
ma-
spotlighted, Claudia.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
on
I
my
was just
screen?
noticing that.
I removed it for myself.
Can
but
you not fix that? I guess you
now I
can't
can
from
pin
there.
Claudia for
There,
myself.
now
Right,
your board is
Sam-
back. Okay, your canvas is back. No,
Oh my
Hillary's back.
gosh, it just went back again.
Oh no,
What's happening, Hillary? Why are you spotlighted?
I don't know. I keep trying to pin
I might have just done that.
Claudia. There we
Okay.
go. Okay.
Sandy, you can't do that from co-host?
Oh yeah, she could. You could.
I could? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, wow, that's getting even prettier, yeah.
Okay.
It's so funny when
So,
you never mind, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
when you what?
Oh, never mind. I was just gonna comment. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Your comments matter.
Well, it's not an important comment. All I was gonna say was honestly when you said you were gonna put orange on there, I thought, ugh. But it's beautiful. It really combined really well.
Yeah, really nice.
It really brought something out of that color. Something. I don't know. Yeah, I like it.
So you see, I'm not like doing something deliberate, but I'm just going, oh, let's try that. Oh, yeah, that looks good. I like that. Oh, no, I don't like that. Let's get rid of that. Quick, wash it off if you don't like it. You see, I have, a bright orange, opaque, and then this very watered down sort. Like, so you want to play with color and shapes. And so
Oh my gosh, that looks
move
like a
around.
road.
Who said what?
That looks like a road when you turned it that way.
This way? Looks like a road.
Yeah, going into perspective.
Oh,
I
like
think.
here?
Uh-huh.
Really beautiful
Right.
colors.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you can take, so now I'm going to take some of this purple I have. And so I'm going to make this a little darker. I had played around with that this morning. Remember, some of this, if you watch the video, some of this sort of weird little imagery came out when I added rubbing alcohol. Don't be afraid to use your fingers too.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great.
To give an effect. It almost looks like trees, like there's a distant tree.
Oh, bummer.
I really like painting like this with lots of layers of transparency. Kind of works for me. Not everybody maybe does, but it's starting to get interesting. Like what's happening? She's trying to send a message, right? What is this? So I don't know yet, but we can play. We can keep playing. Like maybe what would happen if I made the whole bottom dark here like this?
And if I got put Gulkin with oil, would it work similarly? I mean, I know they aren't as bright usually, but would it work as well? or not quite as well no, in with transparency.
Well, the thing is, you can't really paint on top of it so quickly as we are, because it's going to be, let me come here. Remember where the camera is, because it's going to be really wet, and it's not going to adhere until you let it dry. So you'd have to play around with one layer, let it dry probably overnight, then do the next layer.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you can do it the same way with acrylic. I have not, I mean, with oils, I have not played like that with oils yet myself. So
I guess to get more freedom, I mean, I've never been interested in acrylics at all, but I guess to get more freedom, it looks fun. That's kind of thing looks fun.
It's very fun. And I was mentioning to you also, Tracy, the idea that when you paint, like let's say I'm an oil painter, but I want to start a painting in acrylic, because see, look at how far I've got with 2 applications. Well, 3 if you include all 3, but that could have all been done within the first hour probably. Whereas if this was oil, I'd have to wait and let every layer dry. Then I could go and do some more and some more and some more. But now, let's say this is as far as I want to go with acrylic. Now I could come in with oil, either transparents or acrylics, and start adding to it. I could put a glaze over this in some parts, different glazes, and get whole different effects. And that layering that I've done here will come through the oils, and that's where oil really shines, because it creates a depth that you can't get with acrylic. So going back to this painting that I continue to work on, for example, like I don't know if you can see, but there are layers and layers and layers of color and movement and texture and things happening in here that I wouldn't get with just acrylic or with just oil. So by doing it first in acrylic, kind of getting it cool the way I like, and then going over it with oil, it gives me a really rich painting.
Oh, so that is oil over the acrylic?
Yep, that's oil over acrylic.
Huh. Well, from here it just looks like acrylic. But I don't know what it looks like in person.
Yeah, it's oil over acrylic.
I believe you. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
Do you?
Some parts I haven't fully put oil on. Some parts are still, I can tell, haven't quite been hit. Like this, I don't think I put oil over this yet. But all of this is oil. His face is all oil. A lot of his hair and beard are oil. Now, but I painted him first in acrylic.
And you didn't put a glaze over it, or did you?
A lot of this is glaze. So glazing with oil, that's what Galkid is really useful for, is that you can make a glaze with your Galkid and put it on. So in here, for example, I don't remember now, I took alizarin or phthalo or something and made a real light glaze and started putting it over here. And then I've just been adding more and more glazes with oil over this. But I already had the idea of the cosmos done in acrylic. So anyway, it just makes it that much richer.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to add some white. So Hillary, you had white. So we could, now we could go, okay, well, let's see, what do I want to do? Maybe I just want to really see what happens if I just, get loose and a lot of abstract painting is movement. I don't have to keep that. And it's nice to be able to move your brush around freely. You see how I'm doing? I'm changing brush strokes. You notice I'm not holding it like this. Don't hold it like a pen. Hold it about halfway and be loose.
Oh,
You can go in, it's wet, so that white is wet. Well, maybe I want to add some yellow at the same time. Now, I'm not saying this is a work of art. It is a work of art, actually, but I'm not saying it's priceless yet. Hmm. So are you guys still playing on your own over there? Okay, good.
what is a glaze exactly? When you say you may make a glaze out of the oil and the,
Well, when you mix a paint color with Galkid, you've made a glaze.
okay. So it thins, but it also has a shiny quality to it, I guess.
It's very shiny, very
Okay.
glossy. And it
Pops.
so this is where I get in trouble because it's hard to talk, which is left brain, and paint, which is right brain. So what I'm trying to show you is not that you should do this the way I'm doing it, but I want you to see the effect of paint, layering, movement, brush strokes, changing things around, not being afraid, especially if you're doing acrylic, an abstract. If you hate this, you can remake this in an hour and turn it into a whole new painting. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that's kind of fun that way.
Well, that's a good point too.
Oh, that's really cool. I love it.
Yeah, it looks like a tree that way to me.
Looking at it in the camera, so I'm not looking at it, I'm looking at my computer screen. This almost looks like a bird.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
now
I didn't pick colors that go together. I didn't know. What
no, because I had you put yellow, orange, red, green, blue, purple, or lavender. So you can make colors that go together. You can blend them like you did white, but don't just rely on white. White is just going to give you a tint.
Right.
Alizarin, I can show you this here, I think. I just added a little phthalo. Well, it's going to drip everywhere. I just added a little phthalo blue and with some alizarin. And look how dark that is. How dark that is? I don't know if it does want to focus. It's pretty dark. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
good thing I have stuff on my floor to guard and protect. So if I want to put in some really dark, see what I created by mixing those two?
Wow.
Phthalo and alizarin makes a nice, rich, dark color. And you can just keep getting it the way you want. Put more alizarin in there. And then we can add some water. And let's see. I don't know what's happening, but it's sure fun. It's fun to freely move paint like that and to not be restricted.
Yeah.
You can just get it really wet. You could squirt it. See what it might do that way. If you don't like it, one of the fun things about acrylic is it is probably more forgiving than oil. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm liking that, so I'm just gonna wipe some of that away. But I do like some of that. What would happen if I put, now I'm just playing here, you know, it's wet enough that if I put a little rubbing alcohol, now this only works with acrylic, but you see how it made that little circle right here? Can you see that? Little outline of a circle. It makes a cool, okay, I got a good one there. I'll have to keep that flat though. I don't have a good way I'll put it over here. And then I'll bring the phone over here so you can see. Whee! High tech, but not really. So where to go? On top of the order, you can't see it, it's reflecting. It has two little rings that were made by the alcohol. You see it? Nobody sees it.
Where?
It's there. It's there.
Can't see it.
Is it a ring with white? I think I
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah. Got a
Yeah.
little white in it. So I'm gonna let that sit for a minute.
So
I'll switch
how did you
cameras.
drop it on there? I missed it.
I just poured it from the
Oh,
the cap.
wow. Wow. Okay. How bold.
And it's already dissipated though. The ring disappeared. So there's probably some tricks. Let me get this. Oh. Okay. How are y'all doing? Why don't you share with me what you've got so far?
Yeesh. Who else? Somebody else go.
So who would like to show what they've been playing with?
I mean, I can, but I'd like somebody else to.
Yeah, how about Sandy? Come on down, show us what you're doing.
I am just doing this. I don't even know what it is. Oh wait, let me turn on my light. It was blaring in my
Okay.
face. I turned it off.
Yeah, and others get ready to share what you've been working on. Oh, that's super cool. Okay. So you've got,
Nice. Oh, I
so
love
what
it.
you've got going on there, it looks like you've done some layering with the red over the purple and the gray area, and then the red over the blue. So would you be willing to own, did you put the blue over the yellow too, like that dragony looking
kind
thing?
of.
Okay. So so rather than, in addition to, let's try this. So where you are right now, what if are you willing to experiment on this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, ugly no matter what, right? It doesn't
Yep.
matter because we're just playing. Okay.
Right.
So in some of those very solid areas,
Yeah.
find a transparent color, transparent, nothing opaque, and just try putting some transparency over it. And that's how you're going to get the depth and the dimension that we're starting to create with this, with all these different layers of transparent.
Okay.
Okay, you work on that. In the meantime, let me see, Janice, let's see how you're doing.
Okay, I'm just unmuting myself. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a novice here, so I'm just
That's
playing
okay.
around.
Yeah, that's good. Okay,
Just
awesome.
sort of trying to
So are
get
you
on.
layering over colors? I see the red and the orange looks
Not
layered.
yet. I just sort of went from this way, that way, just with the same stroke, and then I'm gonna go back over with some white and see how it comes
Okay,
out.
all right. So don't be afraid to change up your brush strokes because that
Okay.
so right off the bat, I want you guys to you probably weren't noticing, but this is pretty wet, but let me just grab something. Even with the same brush, you can get different brush strokes out of it. So if I take and put some white on my brush so that you can see, I'm gonna spotlight myself. I could go back. I'll just go back over there. Probably be safer. I'm trying to do it here. Let me get over there. Okay. That working? Yeah. All right. And I'm losing my earbuds. It's a little like an obstacle course. Okay. So I think what did I decide? If I went this way, I'll come up closer so you can see better. All right. So, I've got this filbert with white paint on it. Can y'all see that? So
Yeah.
obviously, now again, hold your brush about midway through and you want to be loose with your brush. Don't hold it like this. Don't try, that's fine if you're doing the final touches of a portrait and you're putting on eyelashes, right? You need control. But for this, you don't need control. So hold it loose back here, kind of like this, as opposed to like this or even like that. Hold it loose and then just let it move and experiment with the brush stroke. Don't be afraid to try. What would it do? You're not trying to make a beautiful finished painting here. This is practice. So, okay, now I did it that way. What happens if I just use the side like that? What happens? So try different brush strokes and different directions. And don't be, try to let your mind go out of the boundaries. So rather than painting, this is going to be yellow and that's blue and this is white, just cross around, play around, let it go where it wants to go. Let your hand go where it wants to go. And eventually, this thing may end up just being nothing but practice. It may never see anything other than that. But then again, you never know what might happen. I'm seeing this very distinct. You see what's forming here with this thing? We've got like this line going through it, and it's almost like this is a whole different painting than this. A lot of times when you do abstracts, here's something that'll kind of freak you all out. Let's see. this little tool I showed you the first day, you know, for picking out colors is handy. It's also like a viewfinder. So they say that a lot of times with an abstract, you've got a painting within a painting. So sometimes we make too much and we're busy. But if you look at something, you might go, wow, that right there, that makes a really good painting just right there. And you go, oh, I like that. And so that might be the start of a new painting for you when you can identify something. Or like what's happening down there that almost looks like a lake and mountains and clouds. And, you know, what could I do with that? Or up here, do you see what, does anybody understand what I'm saying? Do you even see? So, so don't be afraid to waste paint and waste. You're not canvases because you're not wasting. You're investing in the skill. And once you have that white down, well, what do I want to do? What could I do with that white? I don't know. I have this phthalo green shade. I thought I'd put some over there. Seems like I probably need to incorporate some of that over here. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. I can't see. All right, is this helping you free you up a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I needed this. Thank you.
I'm not saying this is how you're going to do a painting, right? The painting, you're going to think it through, but before you're ready to tackle, you know, your real painting, you're going to want to know, well, what colors, what paints, what temperature do I want it opaque? What do I want to do with that? You kind of need to know. And I could just sit here and play with this all day long and just keep messing it up more and more and more and more and more. And if I did it long enough, eventually it would turn out really awesome. Remember, never leave your brushes in water overnight. Don't ruin your brushes like I have done a million times. And I would like to introduce you to a little drawing because you guys haven't mentioned it tonight, but one of the gals this morning said, you know, I have this image in my mind. How do I do it? How am I going to do it? Well, you're really going to need to have the ability to get your idea onto your canvas. So there are some ways you can do that. So if it would be okay, if everybody can come back to me a little bit. How you doing, Karen? Doing okay? How you doing, Tracy? You playing or?
Sorry, I'm not playing. I thought you realized. No, I'm not playing because and I'm not home. Remember, I'm not home. So I was
Okay.
practicing getting into. I just had a text from somebody that they
Okay.
can't get in.
But so okay, I'm just checking in with you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So let me introduce to you the drawing tool. So if you don't mind stopping for what you're doing, because I want you to just get this introduction and then you can play with this over the break and you can begin to think about, you know, when you sit down and have an encounter with the Lord, you're reading scripture and you go, oh, wow, that would be an awesome painting. Like I have an image in my mind, a very, you know, outside of my drawing skill level, but I'm going to figure it out. And so you want to have the ability to draw enough. I've told you this before. I never wanted to draw. I didn't want to have to bother. It's too much time, too much effort. And I avoided it at all costs. And eventually, you know, I could draw some basic things okay, but it takes time. It takes time to draw proportionally. The best and quickest way is to trace it, but then you're kind of hampered, like you're not developing the skill. But trust me, a lot of my paintings I have traced I've created the image, or I've found images, or I've made the image either in uh, AI, or I found paint photographs that I could use, either mine or someone else's on the internet, that aren't, you know, copyrighted. We can talk more about that. But you have to learn how to draw a little bit so that you can. So this is something I did this week. And the way this works is with a drawing tool. So the drawing tool is what will help you get proportion. Because if I were to draw that on my own, it would never look like the photograph. It might look cool, but it won't look like the photograph. And depending on what you want to do, you're going to want a human to look like a human, a horse to look like a horse, right? You're going to want them to look accurately. There are lots of ways to do it. You can grid. I can show you one of those one day. You can trace, is probably the fastest. You can, is that any good? Let me spotlight this so that you can all see.
Yeah, we got you. I do anyway.
Am I spotlighted? Okay, I am. Good. Maybe the color should be, how do I do that? Oh, wrong way. Like that, maybe. And I think I'll turn this off. Okay, so the way this works is you have to have the idea of roughly how big or where you're going to take from your photo to your finished product, you know? So this isn't much bigger than the original. If I wanted to make it, you know, I wanted 3-foot pears, this little guy isn't going to work. But for most of the stuff we do, it'll work. And you have to set your proportion initially. So what I mean by that is you have to determine, okay, roughly how big do I want these to show up? So this guy is yay big wide. You use the 2 pointy ends on the original. And then that gives you the corresponding proportional enlargement. So I go, okay, that guy's about that wide there. So how wide do I want him? So this, as you can see, is wider than what I did. So if I want it to be that size, I have to actually adjust this and lower this a little bit, because the higher this is to the top, the wider the spread at the bottom to give you the proportional adjustment. So that's pretty accurate. I didn't use this tool. I happen to use another one that I bought myself, these beautiful wooden.
Well, I have never heard of or seen any of that before.
Yeah, it's
So
cool. I
you
just
adjust
ordered it
it
right now.
according to, huh?
I was just saying, I just ordered mine right now.
Yeah, they're very handy. This is $10 on Amazon, somewhere under 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So the way you do it is you don't just go and do each pair. You got to get the whole first. So what's the whole general width of that image? Not the whole photo, just these pairs. So what's the widest spot? And does that fit all the way up? There's actually We could include the shadows, probably the whitest spot, roughly. So you know that this box or the space that is going to be in holding this these pairs is about yay big. So what you do is you mark first, and you use very light pencils, not soft but hard pencils. The harder the pencil, the lighter the lead, the lighter the stroke. So you kind of make a mark there and there. And then you go back and you figure out, okay, what's the overall height of this guy? It's about like that. So then you make a mark at the top and at the bottom. And then you draw a light square around it. I've already done that and erased it here. That gives you, that's your within that dimension. So now we've created this space for the object to sit in. So now we know that that helps. That gives you some guidelines to it, some perimeters. And then you start and you find, you're going to start with this one. You find the whitest spot and you mark it. And you find it here and you mark it just there and there. And you do this sort of the same thing for the top of the pear down to the bottom of the pear. Maybe I'm not going to include the shadow right now. And you mark that. And then you might go, okay, well, what's the distance between this this curve, this first sort of curve of the pear? Okay, that's about there. But what's the angle of the pear, that curve? So you can just hold this and kind of transfer it over. And if I'm doing this to match that, I can see, well, I don't like that. That didn't work out so good. This needs to be a little thicker here. And you can adjust. And then you lightly, with your, HB, or HB is good, you lightly begin to sketch your pear. And you do it in like short lines. Don't hold your pencil like this. Don't sit like this. Hold it like this, loose.
Okay.
And really, you should, most of you are going to go, oh, I'm going to sit at my desk and draw on my little pad. But in reality, you should put it on your easel and draw loose, because you can practice when we're not going to do shading because this isn't a drawing class. But when you draw, it's good to have this kind of movement as opposed to this. You don't want to have to go like this because it's hard to draw a straight line. But if you hold it loose and kind of go like that, you can get the straight line. Then you can go in and erase. Same thing with circles. It's hard to do right here. This is really a light color, hard. And you draw it a circle like that, and as opposed to like this, because then you're like, oh, how do I draw that? How do you make it so it's not all wiggly and loppy? But if you do it like this, you're beginning to get, they say you literally draw with your shoulder. And the same thing's for painting true. You want to move like this. Not back. I couldn't do it backwards, probably. I could try. Yeah, I guess I could. I'd have to have bigger. And you just practice. So what I want you to do this week, before we meet again, it's not a drawing class. This is not, I'm not going to teach you how to make beautiful charcoal or graphite drawings. But knowing how to draw will help you get your ideas that you want onto canvas. So being able to sketch out, you can sketch out your drawing. A lot of artists will sketch out their drawing on on something small. they're going to put it on a big 30 by 40 inch canvas. They can sketch it out small. They can take a photo of this, put it in their projector. There are lots of tools you can buy. You know, art's not cheap. Everybody freaks out when they ask me how much a painting is, and I tell them, and they're like, "What? It hardly took you any time at all." Like, well, it took 8 hours, and all of this, all of this money, all this experience, all of this training, all these years, all this investment. So, it is a commitment, obviously, to invest in art, but you can invest in. There's a device on the market that I've looked at. It looks like it might be good. It's called Lucy, Lucy, the Lucy drawing tool. Maybe you've seen it on Instagram. The only one I'd be interested in, unfortunately, is about $260, because if I can't get it onto a big canvas, it's not going to help me. The projectors, you could probably get a Artograph projector for about the same price, maybe used, and you can make that as big as you want. So you can always trace, you can always project, you can grid. Gridding is another technique that I didn't bother preparing for, and I can show you at another time. But basically, you have to put a grid over your image like this, and there are apps that'll put a grid on that for you. You print that out, and then you draw a corresponding grid at the appropriate conversion. Again, it's like math. My math brain hates this stuff, so tracing works really good for me. But I used to do, before I ever invested in a projector, I gridded stuff. So you put a
how does the
grid.
projector work?
Well, it's literally like a projector. I put it on a tripod. You plug in a USB drive. So I take my photograph or my image that I've created. So I'm beginning to combine images using some apps out there, and I'll create an original piece from images. Like I could take pears, and I could take a horse, and I can take a house and merge it together and create my own image, and then project it and trace it.
So you're
It's a little tricky.
So somehow it's coming from the computer.
No, it's a standalone projector. So you use a USB drive.
But I mean, the image you're projecting is digital. Because you can't
digital.
Okay, that's
That's
what
correct. That's correct. It's digital. So you have to get it into a digital
the
format. So if you have an old photograph, let's say, that's where one of those drawing tools I've seen, like the Lucy drawing tool, could be useful, because you can put the photograph, hang it, and then you depends on which one's which, but like if you're going to do something small, you can look through this device and you're drawing on your canvas, but your mind is tracing the image the way it does it. And the masters, they used to do that. They had devices that they could look in and draw their subject. They had a way to do that with mirrors and things. But they were also highly skilled, masters of technique. So whatever technique is needed, I used to think that I wasn't really an artist if I couldn't draw out of my mind without any reference and paint a masterpiece without a reference. Well, I quickly figured out that's a smoke and lie.
Yeah.
And then I used to think maybe I'm only maybe I'm a painter, not an artist, if I didn't draw the image and I gridded it or something. But all of that's a lie, because the idea is you have to get your idea onto canvas or paper somehow, and then paint it. So this class is going to focus more on the connection with the prophetic and with Jesus, and with translating your ideas and putting it on canvas, than teaching you how to draw. But I'll give you the cheater workarounds to help you do that.
Plus, there's no, I mean, what is, everyone's like, I mean, even if you're drawing a portrait, you're still, there's a person there. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, yeah. It's just however it shows up that makes somebody excited to look at it and be transported somewhere is pretty cool.
Right. And they don't, it doesn't matter if you trace it, it doesn't matter if you grid it, doesn't matter if you did it freehand. And if you do this long enough, you'll be able to, you do some of these things like this with that tool. You do 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 of those, you're going to know how to draw. And now it'll be real easy to put something on canvas. Guarantee it. So part of your homework, if you want to do it this while we're gone, I hope you all practice and play, would be to find something on your kitchen counter or your desk, and it could be a box of Kleenex. Maybe get it from a different angle, so you've got some different angle, not just a square thing, so that you can play with your tool and try to challenge yourself by making it bigger than the object, so that you're working on how to define the proportion. Remember that you determine how big you want to make it, and then you mark the tallest part and the widest part, so you can kind of draw a loose box. And then within that box is where you begin to lay out whatever you want your drawing. Then you go back and you erase the box lines and fine tune it. You don't have to worry about shading, because your paints will be your shading for you. Okay.
And I don't know, so you want to practice making it bigger, which makes sense. But how do you you have to know? So do you just, okay, say the pears, you measure where just the width, even the width of the pears. And then you go over to your other piece of paper that is, you've laid out is bigger, and then really in that first those first marks, you just decide how wide you want to make them, I
That's
guess,
exactly right. That first thing is what you do. You determine the proportion. So
Okay.
if you wanted to, I made mine just, I don't know, what is that? 1.5 times maybe bigger than the original. Maybe I wanted a 3-foot pear, right? So I could do the same thing. Now that's pretty hard to do with this tool. I do have a bigger one. I don't even know if this would be big enough, but it gives you, so don't do anything that, stay within the ability of this tool. So the way to get it the biggest is to move this pin all the way up to the top, because it doesn't want to go in there. So because look see how wide that becomes then.
Yeah.
Whereas if the pin was way down here, whoops.
Oh, so you can make it smaller than it is.
Yes, so you can put the pin down at the bottom, and it would be very small by comparison. So then when we measure, let's say I want to do this mouse, and I put that there, it's probably almost 1 for 1 or something. I don't know how to make it smaller. I don't know if one of these would do that. Yeah, of course
Huh.
you can make it smaller. And so you just get to determine how big you want to make your drawing.
Okay.
And then that becomes your standard. So then you just keep the pin there and you don't move it again. And now every
Okay.
time you measure, okay, I know that that's my proportion. So I'm going to do,
Okay, yeah.
so you never move the pin once you establish that first proportion.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And
then when
just
you do the
play, you'll figure it out.
and then when you do the projection, I don't, maybe I'll understand if I listen to it again. It's because it's not the old fashioned way to project, which I can't even remember now. At
Well,
the
it is,
moment.
except it's taking a digital so that because you can't take a physical thing and project it up there.
Well, I
It's-
mean, you could if you had an old slide projector and an old slide, of course,
Oh,
it's
a
the same
slide.
idea, right? Yes, you could
Right, but I'm trying
project
to translate
anything
it in
that
the digital.
projects.
I'm having a hard time.
Well, I happen to have a device and I don't have it here in this room, so I would, I'm pretty sure I don't have it here. I think I've moved it somewhere else, but it's called Artograph. I think it's Artograph. Yes, I've moved it into another room because I only use it when I'm laying out a painting. And it's yay big and it's got a lens on it and it plugs in and it's got a USB port and you have to have that on something stable. So I have a tripod that I put that on, and then I have my canvas on an easel. And you do have to be concerned about the tilt, how easels are angled, right? So if
Uh-huh.
if you project it on an angle, it's gonna go out of proportion. So you want to get your
Right.
easel as flush as possible.
Oh.
And then in these devices, they have a way to, it's complicated though. They don't make it easy, but there's settings where you can adjust for that. And then you have to put it in a dark room or a dark enough room or hallway. I just close off my hallway and it's at one end of the hallway and I'm at the other, and then I walk up to it and I just use my number 2 pencil and trace. And you have to be careful not to press too hard because it'll move the canvas because it's flexible if it's a stretched canvas, right? So you want to you have to be gentle with it because that will distort, right?
Mm.
Especially you're working on the eyes and you're pushing and all of a sudden his eyes way up there or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then you also want to trace your shadows and contrast areas. So it's not just about tracing the outline. Let's say you're doing a portrait. It's not just about tracing, the perimeter of the eye. Go ahead and trace the eye. Go ahead and trace where the pupil is. Go ahead and trace where the laugh lines are. Trace where the smiling lines are. Trace where this part of the neck's in black because it's all shadow because the light's coming from here or something, right? So you trace those. We can talk more about that another time.
This is pretty amazing because, wow, I can't get over that I happened upon you now. I mean, I should because that's what the Lord does, but because like I said, I actually can draw, but I'm amazed at that if I have something in I mean, I could always copy, I guess is what I should say. I could always draw what I saw in front of me. But to have something in my mind and try to draw it, you think couldn't draw at all. Like I can't do it. It's like
Right. No,
just
I can't do it. Most of us need to have a reference. And if you
Yeah.
are like a guy in our community who was the Disney backdrop painter for 35 years, who painted football size canvases in the days when they painted the backdrops for movies, he can draw anything without looking. He doesn't need a reference for anything.
Yeah.
But those kind of people are rare.
But then so you just have to like think like I even have an idea of what I want to do, and so I maybe just, and it's a person. I just maybe just have to look through photographs and find a person in a similar position, and then adjust
Yes,
it to what I want to see or do,
yes,
and then start.
yes,
So it just grows.
yes,
I never thought of I never thought of
yes.
that before.
And you could take,
Okay.
I've done this, you could take, let's say you want this person sitting there looking like this, and over there you want a beautiful sunset. So, you know, you could go find the person sitting like this, and you could trace that in there. Then you could go find the sunset. Now, proportions, you'd want to be careful about that, right? You'd want it to look natural. But then you could trace in, you know, the lines in the ocean and the mountains or whatever, and merge images together like that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
You are welcome. Yes, you are welcome. Yes. Okay. That was the order of colors. Yes. Yellow, orange, red, green, blue, violet. Yes. And so next session is January the 9th at 5:30 p.m. So you actually get like 3 weeks off. Okay. So play, post in our group, share, ask questions. If you're stuck, just ask a question in the group. And then that way I can answer it for the group and everybody else can benefit too. Okay.
I have a question that you could, if you wouldn't mind asking your teacher sometime, or you can consider it, because it's confused. I'm trying not to get too much into it, but it's confusing to me why they tell you to lay it out, and yet intuitively it does feel like you said it seems to work well for you, and it seems like it might for some reason that I have no idea, because it's so counterintuitive to way like a rainbow is. Like I said before, it starts at red, and that makes more sense.
Oh, the layout. Yeah.
So
Do it
I
however
just
you
wonder if
want.
you could ask her
Just
sometime.
do it however you want. And if I get that chance, I will. But I think it's more like the color wheel, probably yellow, orange, red, and then blue, green, blue. So I think she went this way for the color wheel, and then this way for the color wheel, because that's the direction it goes. So you get to do it however you want.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to think, well, what might be the best way? So that's all.
Yeah, experiment. But but that's what they recommend. And these are online video courses, so I could ask in the group, but maybe somebody has. I'll ask. I'll see if I can figure that out.
Yeah, that'd be great, because it's really messing with my mind, because there's the red and the green are opposite, and whatever would be helpful to know, because there might be a good reason, obviously.
Okay, I'll look into that. Okay, so yes, we're good to go. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Can I
Get
show
better.
you, and you can tell me,
show
okay,
us what
that's
you're
so
doing.
totally weird. All right, I don't know what's up, what's down. Not sure. Here, I'm holding it upside down to what I painted, but
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, see, that's really starting to happen. That is fun. Rotate it all around. Turn it one side and then another. Pause there a little bit. Let's look. If you do anything abstract, you should always rotate it, because
yeah,
one side it'll be more clear than the other. No, keep going. Go another way. Oh, look at that. That almost looks like a seed. I mean, that big green thing in the center, not sure about, but keep going. Do it again. Nope, the other. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Oh, I see a bird. I see a dragon. I see a seed. That's what I was seeing before. So what you can do then, Hillary, is ask the Lord to show you, what does he see, and play around with that a little bit. Okay.
So I got impatient with the solid flow, and so then I just started like mixing and mashing. So I'm not sure if that's recommended it looks now like
When
if
you
I
say mixing and matching, what do you mean?
so like I
Solid
would take the brush and dip it in different colors and then make footprints with it, like so, I just started like it looks kind of muddy, but
Well, that's what happens. It gets muddy when you do it that way. So if you want it to stay, see, like down in here, did you really want to make a gray, shades of gray?
up
Because that's what
here
that
or
does. Well, you can't see me. I'm pointing to it. Well, where your right hand is down at the bottom there, I think that's your right hand. It's greenish, but it's really kind of a middle. It's a medium dark gray. And same thing with the other colors are very grayed out, and that's what happens when you mix a lot of colors together.
yeah, this
That's
was
what
like
happens in
very
oil paint, too.
green. It was very green. There were some very green, and then there was like kind of a flower coming out of it, but I don't know. I was like, oh,
So go,
that's
just
too different. Yeah, I made it mud.
keep going. So now that it's dry, let it dry. Tomorrow, play with it some more.
Okay.
Just see what you can turn it into.
That's pretty
See what
nice.
becomes of it. And do things that are contrasty. So, you don't want a painting. Now this, we don't want to get too hung up on this, but you don't want a painting that's all midtones. You want, where's my, oh, one of the tricks you can do is take your camera and take a photograph of it,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, put it through different filters or something?
put it through black and white. So take your photo and edit it and turn it to black and white. And if it's got, well, no, back to that. Okay. See this? There's quite a bit of contrast in that.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's some real
look at
darks,
that.
there's some real whites, and there's a
Oh,
lot
that's
of midtones, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good way. If your painting is all midtones, that's not good. You
Okay.
need contrast.
That's so cool.
So that's a good little tool. Yeah,
That is. Thank you for that.
yeah, you're welcome. Okay, beloveds,
Yeah, thank you.
we
so
have
much.
8 more weeks to teach you stuff. You can't get it all in one time. So Merry Christmas. Yes, Sandy, in answer to your question, yes. And then so reach out to me through Facebook. There you go. So you see the
Yeah, all
dark thing
that
in the middle is very dark, but all of that is pretty much the same. You've got some light, so you
mud.
can just work on that. So just
Okay.
now, so you can put some white over some of that, and then put some transparent over the white
Okay.
to pop the color.
Cool.
Okay,
Cool.
have fun. Have fun. Post it.
Acrylics
Post
are
it.
a lot.
Post it the way it is now, Hillary, and then post it changed.
Okay.
Okay, because
Thank
we
you.
all will love to see the journey.
This was so helpful for me to like meet you and do stuff. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know. I go find something else to do because I don't know where to start. So
Yeah,
thank you
good.
for doing
I'm really
yeah.
glad you're here. I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
I don't
love
know.
you.
Acrylics are, oh, sorry, I have a question. My
Tracy.
Go
hands up.
ahead, Tracy.
My acrylics are a lot cheaper than oils, right? Because I don't,
Depends.
okay, because
Depends.
I just, okay, I'd have to like get a whole new set of everything.
Well, you don't. You could get some. You can. Depends on whether you want to actually add acrylic to your repertoire. See, I never did oils for that very same reason, right? I threw all my hat into acrylic. Well, let me just say, I'm spending a good bit of money on oil paints because I know that I will be painting with oils over acrylics. I will paint acrylic and put oil over it. That's going to be
Mhm.
my technique. And I know that. So I'm not afraid to invest in that. I mean, I wish it was cheaper. But golden paints are probably just every bit as expensive as there's certainly Gamblin student grade paint, which is called 1980, and golden acrylics are about the same, probably. Karen just priced a bunch of acrylics. She found that Liquitex, not their student grade, but their professional grade was cheaper, right, Karen? If you want to add a thought onto that.
Liquid text.
Liquitex, heavy body.
Liquitex.
Yeah. So Liquitex Basics is their student grade,
Yeah,
and Liquitex Heavy Body is their professional grade.
sweet.
And it's a little cheaper than golden.
Okay, liquid tech student grade acrylics are cheaper.
Very
Right.
much cheaper. Yes. And, you know, you're going to paint over them with oil, maybe. So maybe you could get away with that. But, you know, it's kind of like when you're cooking. Do you really want to use cheap red wine in your sauce?
Well, I know, but I don't.
There's no judgment. That was just something. Just wanted to throw that out.
Oh, no. I know. I do know what you're saying. Did you do a gloss over the entire Jesus painting before you started adding the oil, or no?
No.
Okay. I mean, who knows? I might end up experimenting with both also, but I don't. We'll see. So if I wonder if I got the freedom and some of the stuff that you're teaching, what would you suggest? Maybe by primary and secondary colors, or you know what I mean? Because
go by the colors you like. Go by the colors you would use. I mean, obviously you want to have, you know, a yellow, a red, a blue, a black, and a white, but they don't have to be primary. They could be Indian yellow hue. I use it a lot, or quinacridone nickel azo gold. I mean, play.
Oh, yeah.
Have some
I
fun.
mean, because for the idea for me, I mean, unless I move on, but I would be just the freedom to really get the use of the freedom. I think that is really very important for me. So
you might just then, you know, and then if money's an object, why don't you just buy the basics, Liquitex basics? And they're not going to be they're not as good. They're not as pigmented, but they're a great learning tool. And I used them for years before I ever felt worthy to buy Goldens.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then I'm still going to learn what you're teaching in the terms of freedom and stuff, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And then if I start to like it more, then I can invest.
Then
of
you
course,
start
I would
investing.
rather use more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, once you taste, you know, it's like when you have a really prime filet mignon and you've tasted that, you know, it's hard to go
back to a burger. Yeah.
Well, even you know, I don't know. I don't know my cuts of meat very well, but you know, you don't want to eat a chuck, try to cook a chuck on the barbie.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to come out.
But do
paintings that we got to wrap up.
I know.
I love you. I'm so happy that you want to go on, but we do have to move on because it's 7:30. But you can use the Facebook thing, and then I can respond.
Okay.
You know, in our Facebook group, I love questions asked to the group as a whole because then I can answer it and everybody benefits.
Okay, sure.
Okay, all right. I love you all.
Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Merry Christmas. See you after the first of the year.
It's brilliant.
Amen.
Brilliant. Blessings to you, health, family, love.
Thank you. And to
Yes,
you,
God
to
bless
everybody.
you all.
Karen, get better.
Happy
Get
New
safe
Year.
travels.
Yeah.